Hello, how's it going? We're back with another Tuesday live stream.
Welcome back to the Tuesday telecast. It's Dan,
And I'm B.
and we're here on another Tuesday. Hope everyone out there, no matter where you are in the world, are having a wonderful day. Thank you for getting everything set up here today.
Of
It's
course,
looking
yeah.
really good. We've got Justin running the computer, helping take your questions and make sure that the streams are streaming. We got Sid in the chat. So if you have questions, type into Sid. Sid will help relay those questions to us on screen here. We've got Hajun keeping us company, warming up the desk. And it's another lovely, warm Tuesday here in Glendale, California, on the border of Burbank.
Absolutely. You can smell IKEA. It's so close.
I thought that was my upper lip. Oof.
They're
Spicy.
wafting their MDF smell over to us.
MDF and meatballs.
It's really a
And
pretty
lingonberry.
appetizing combo. So what do we got going on today? I've got this whole pile of lenses spread out here.
We are surrounded by lenses, and we are also on a 2-channel stream. Got camera 1, camera 2, camera 2, camera 1. Here we are. And,
Sorry, Justin.
I'm just enjoying a wonderful ketone-aid snake water. That was what I had for breakfast. If you haven't tried this, what are you waiting for? Ride the snake. I'm doing it.
You can have mine.
Drop a W in the chat if you want us to mail you a snake water. U.S. Postal Service
I think
only.
You can just slap some stamps on there, right? They'll take that.
That's normal.
Yeah.
That's vetted.
I think they'll be okay with that.
Definitely. We'll
I
also
know a
slap-
guy at the USPS.
We'll slap one of these stickers on here. We got some new stickers, so if you're going to see us at any of our upcoming events, whether you're in Sao Paulo, Brazil for ABC Semana, which is happening literally right now, or you're going to be in North Hollywood, California tomorrow for a presentation of the film New Wave by director Elizabeth I. Check it out. Lemley, North Hollywood tomorrow, 7 p.m. screening. Absolutely my favorite film of the last 12 months. Have you seen it yet?
I've not. I was
This is
here
your
for the
chance.
panel, but yeah,
This
I
is your
missed the full movie.
Elizabeth will be there tomorrow doing a Q&A with the film. So, if you need tickets or if you're not sure how to get tickets, shoot us a DM. We will help you. And of course, we also have Wednesday Lens Day tomorrow from 10:30 a.m. to 1:30 right here in our office, our headquarters, our factory in Glendale, California. We do this every Wednesday, so you can count on it. And we are surrounded, as B said, by a wonderful smattering of both classic, vintage lenses and modern lenses, but we are focused on anamorphic lenses today. I didn't pull out any spherical lenses from the archive. Meant to, didn't have any time, but the two topics we're going to talk about today are a little bit of a little comparison between some of the vintage anamorphic lenses that you may know and love, or you may not know, but you will love when you see them, and the Atlas Lens Co. Orion Series and Mercury Series lenses, which are sort of a reimagining of what an anamorphic lens could be for a new generation of filmmakers, making them more interesting, more personal, more rewarding, and more accessible, no matter where you are in the world. And we're going to be talking about barrel distortion. How many of us have it?
That's a
We're
great
surrounded
question.
by it. Depends
It's
on-
everywhere.
It is everywhere. I mean, some of us have barrel distortion with our eyes.
Definitely right here.
And we're being viewed with camera 1 on a 21 millimeter Orion Series 2x anamorphic lens.
Extremely wide, yeah.
We're on the Alexa LF Mini, but we're in Alexa Classic mode. So we're using a normal 4-perf, around 24 millimeter by 18 millimeter approximately imaging area, 2x anamorphic lens. So we get this beautiful 2.66 to 1 out of a 4.3, but we've got our 2.40 frame guides on, and the same for over here on our Red Raptor X XL, but we've got a 28 millimeter, and this will be punched in not only because it's a 28 millimeter, but because the height of the sensor is actually a little bit shorter by comparison if we put them side to side. But we do want a short sensor. We'll take whatever sensor we got. So, this is a pretty cool sensor on the Red because it's got global shutter. It does have high dynamic range. Very convenient, great sensors. So I'd say these are two of my favorite sensors that we can use in this era.
Definitely.
So why not look at us through both of them at the same time?
We got them both. Might as well use them, right?
Bingo. So yeah, our key topic today, and by the way, questions, chat. If you have questions, if you have comments, if you have suggestions, if you're wondering where else to find us besides in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, tomorrow and Wednesday, tomorrow in North Hollywood, this weekend at the JL Fisher Cinema Barbecue. If you don't know, DM us for more information. That's going to be a bop. And got a couple other things coming up. We got Cine Gear. We got Build Expo in New York. This is Hot Lens Summer. Come find us. We're going to be all over the place.
This is our busy season.
It already feels like it's summer, too. It's like pretty...
Yeah, I mean, that heat wave last weekend was brutal.
It's already crushing us. It's pretty sweaty in here, so come on down. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we'll cool you off. You could drink a snake water, be saved one for you, or we'll mail it to you. And we're looking for your questions in the chat, but if you're not ready to drop a W just yet, let's dig into barrel distortion. So you did a really nice job setting up a little bit of a frame around us here. So we have a couple concentric frames, and this is something that I love to look at all the time is proscenium arch. So we've got the building arch, which does have a nice natural curve, but is being exaggerated by the curvature of the lens. So you can see that
when we get it to the middle there, it straightens out. Obviously, these are more or less straight pieces of metal, but as we get to the edge of frame there, you get that crazy bend in the lines. That's kind of what we're talking about today.
Some people love that, some people hate that. So classically, photographers are often like, yo, I don't want barrel distortion. I'm looking for a rectilinear image. I'm looking for verticals and horizontals to be perfectly as straight as possible. And that is attainable with certain lens designs, but there's always compromises, right? So some of those compromises can be related to the overall shape of the bokeh or the out of focus imaging area. They could be related to other attributes of the image. So, you can optimize the geometric distortion of a lens, but have different aberrations like chromatic aberration. You could have spherical aberration, which is, again, softness or unsharpness of the image because all the rays are not landing in a parallel plane. And in an anamorphic lens where we're intentionally distorting the image to compress and decompress a panoramic field of view traditionally, you're going to be intentionally introducing distortion to the image, but we kind of like it. I like it. I don't know.
Definitely,
I can't speak for you.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of interesting character that you can pull out. I think there's useful lenses of all varieties, first of all. But I think barrel distortion is one of the more natural to the human eye, in my experience at least. Something like this kind of gentle outward bulge, to me tends to feel a lot more organic. Obviously, if you have like perfectly rectilinear straight lines, a lot of people would say that's the most realistic, but I don't think that's really the way people experience the world. I think those rectilinear lenses are oftentimes used for things like architecture, where you have a lot of very straight lines. But if you're standing right in front of a big building, you're not really seeing straight lines. You're seeing this crazy expansive thing right in front of you. So to me, it feels a little more natural to kind of exacerbate that or show that off a little bit with the way the lens can distort it outward like that.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. And even in the past, I would go as far as in many photo lenses, like from Nikon, or Nikon, as some people say, perspective correction. So you'd actually shift the plane of the lens in order to correct distortion. And this can be useful, as you noted, for architecture. For instance, if you're trying to make a house look a certain way for a real estate photo where you're trying to convince someone, hey, this is a big house and it's not like getting smaller at the top of the house. It's more perspective corrected to be kind of flat, but not truly how we experience it. That can be useful from a technical standpoint or a communication means. And so these are ways of telling a visual story, communicating visual information, and that's encoded through the mechanism of the lens. And that's pretty interesting and fascinating. And we see some questions and comments coming in. Gleam Pixels notes that they have a team of video or photo editors. That's fantastic, because that is definitely, in modern times, one way that you can adjust the distortion of an image. So if you're like, I want my image to be flatter and you don't like the curvature, you can absolutely adjust the distortion in an image. And
I
you know,
think you see that a lot with photography lenses these days, especially look at like Sony, I think does this a lot, where
they'll
offer
build it in too.
They build it in, yeah. They offer the lens profiles, so you can just flip a switch in your camera settings, and it'll correct for you automatically.
Based on the metadata of what that specific lens is, there might be a profile exactly as you said to perspective correct the lens in Lightroom or other software. And then Lucas from Monster Cam Poland notes that he hopes that we'll visit Poland for Camera Homage this year. We can't wait to see you. I'm very much looking forward to it. I've only heard great things, so sounds like a blast. And we also have Martin, shout out Martin from Toronto. Greetings. We have some Canadians in the building with us today, so we're taking good care of them. And
They're always around.
they're always a boot, as they say. So, yeah, as you can see, looking through this beautiful 21 millimeter Orion, which is definitely one of our Orion series lenses that has a significant amount of barrel distortion, but is still quite optically pleasing, resolute, has really nice skin tones, and overall just a great look to it. You know, considering just how crazy wide this lens is, it's actually quite well performing, and you can see this in movies like Anora, which we happen to have a really cool bootleg t-shirt to show today. So drop a W in the chat if you'd like to see a bootleg Anora t-shirt. Anora used Atlas lenses, so shout out Drew Daniels, shout out Sean Baker and all of the people who made Anora. I found this bootleg t-shirt at a swap meet, and shout out Las Vegas, so well represented here. So if you think you need a bootleg Anora t-shirt like this, drop a W in the chat, and we will make sure to indicate what swap meet we found this at. So shout out Anora.
All
And
right.
hello, Kuwait. Good to see you.
See
Hope-
here.
Are you going to CabSat that's not too far away from Kuwait if you're out there? I'm hoping to make my way out there one of these days, and I definitely want to go to Disney Abu Dhabi because I'm an adult Disney nerd. So hope to see you there. And hopefully we're going to do a deep dive soon on the connections between themed entertainment and cinematography. If all goes well, that's one of my big discussions I'm hoping to have this year. I don't want to jinx it by giving away too much, but I'm a big fan of the Art Center College of Design. There's some Art Center College of Design graduates who we're big fans of, who are a big part of themed entertainment. Hopefully we'll be able to get on their show, or they'll be able to come on our show, or both. So knock on wood, let's hope so. And a big shout out to Lucas again, mentioning taking still photos with his R5 Canon and Mercury lenses. R5 is a pretty goated camera. I think it's quite nice to use, very pleasant. Big OG Canon fan here, so you got me. And yeah, so we're gonna go from this 21 millimeter Orion on the A camera, and you'll be able to switch over to B camera or double camera. I'm not sure how it's set up right now, and see us trying one of the most interesting and absolutely goated anamorphic lenses from the museum. This is a JDC Crystal Express
Ooh,
24 millimeter
this is a fun one.
T1.4. I'm going to stop it down to match our exposure. And you can see this big honker here with a big square front on it. This has a square front, but the front element is actually part of the focusing group, so that's not actually a cylindrical lens, but it is a beautiful lens. So we'll throw it on the main camera here because we're already set up, and see if we can guide this puppy in. Thank you so much.
There we go.
And then we'll get focus, and you can see it's not quite as wide of a field of view. We got a little haircut for B there. And one of the main things I can point out is that you can see in the outside here of the frame, even though we're stopped down to a 5.6, you can see my hand turning into kind of a ghost image. So that's pretty wild, right? I mean, that is definitely some uncorrected spherical distortion. And the base lens on this particular JDC Crystal Express ultra wide angle is a Zeiss Super Speed 1.4. So it's an incredibly
lens,
fast
yeah.
lens. We are stopped down to a 5.6, but you're still getting this crazy fall off out here in the edges. And you know, if you look at that kind of spherical aberration on my hand, it may be hard to see in the stream, but I'll try to put up some kind of chromey looking situation like my
Oh yeah, those
Snake
edges
water,
just
you
totally
really
fall
can't
out.
resolve the snake water up there.
Surprising, it's almost better up in the corner than it is in the middle.
Yeah, that's some field performance stuff that has to do with the way the overall elements are shaped. And that's really interesting, but you're absolutely right to observe that. So there are some benefits in that you put a talent face probably in that X pattern. So, if you're going to frame someone, they're most likely in this zone, this diagonal zone. But if you're in the top center, you know, at a 5.6, I wouldn't say that's the sharpest, but it's definitely better than
It's
the
not
left
bad,
and right
yeah.
sides. And that's due to the design nature, the design characteristics. So they use a lot of plano surfaces in this lens, which are flat, and it's harder to correct for the curvature if you've got a flat surface. And you still have that characteristic barrel distortion in the top part of the building and in the C-stand arm that you can see bridging here.
Oh yeah.
But again, in the center of the frame where we have the chart, you do have, back in the distance there, you do have a pretty normalized rectangle. So as long as you're pretty much center punching something, you're going to have a decent rectilinearity to the image. But it really depends on the zone that you're putting your person, your object, your scene. And the veiling is absolutely crazy on this too. You can see down here.
Yeah, yeah.
So with a
Definitely
piece
a
of
big
glass
kind of glow up in the window here.
Yep, with a big honking piece of flat glass in the front like that, it's like having a 4x5 filter that has no matte box around it exposed to the world. And I see a question about the Honora t-shirt. Well, you'll have to come find us at an event like Wednesday Lens Day, or ABC Semana in Brazil, or Cine Gear here in LA. If you come and find us, we may be able to indicate to you which flea market you might be able to obtain that shirt. But I do have something that should be easier to get than the super crazy bootleg t-shirt, and that is one of these sweet Atlas Lens Co. anamorphic stickers. So check that out. These are guaranteed to be there waiting for you. We may have hats for you, but hopefully we'll come and see you soon, or you'll come and see us soon, and then we can get you some prizes. Definitely you're going to want to like and subscribe our YouTube channel. We are grateful to you if you're on our Instagram, but we're definitely trying to get more people checking out the absolutely goated content that our team is putting out on YouTube, because we have so much interesting, exciting, and informative content. And if you have things you'd like us to do deep dives on, let us know in the comments and we will dive in. And I see Envision Media mentioning looking for the JDC Crystal Express. They are hard to find. They're probably
Pretty rare,
rented out,
yeah.
but you can also find them under the name Cineo Vision. Sometimes they're pretty similar. They're not 100% similar. So it's confusing because a JDC Crystal Express doesn't just refer to like one family of lenses. It's anything that was kind of crafted by Joe Dutton Camera Company. And some of them are sort of based on Cook speed pancros. Some of them are based on like super speeds, but there's a wide variety of them. And they are pretty cool, special, and unique lenses. And
I've been impressed with all the ones I've seen, but they're definitely not super common.
and they're not well controlled necessarily
No,
either. So
no.
if you're looking for something wild, unique, and unusual, they may be a bop for you. I think there's some up at Old Fast Glass.
I think they have a set, yeah.
Camtech definitely rocks some. They're pretty similar to Todd AO, certain models of Todd AO, because again, that's another one where it's just like a huge catalog of different lenses. No two are the same, and there's just such a variety that you can't really be like, oh yeah, that 40 millimeter is the same as that 40 millimeter. So it's kind of a very broad family name, but we kind of make that convenient here at Atlas because we name our lens design styles as series. So the Orion series of lenses are following a specific architecture. They're mostly T2 lenses across the board, except for the telephoto lenses, which the 135 is a T2.2 and the 200 is a T3.2. And they're a unique, specific architecture that dates all the way back to 1931. And then our Mercury series lenses are 1.5 squeeze, light, small, compact, and sort of a reimagining of what an anamorphic lens could be, but still having some of those vintage characteristics. And one of the things that makes these extra special is that these have a unique patented focusing architecture that is the first new anamorphic focusing architecture in the last 60 years. So
Pretty
definitely worth
impressive,
checking
yeah.
out. If you haven't tried them, give them a shot. Love to see what you make with these lenses.
Definitely. Let's throw one of these up on the camera then. Yeah, we can.
Yes. Should we switch over? So we got a good look at
Yeah.
that. Why don't we take a look at a 27 mil Mercury? I'll change the camera settings while you change the
You
lens.
got it.
So we can throw up this 27,
For
and we're
sure.
at a 5.6. So I'll change the aspect ratio on the camera, and I'll also go to a different recording mode. So this might just take 1 second here. So we're going to pop out into the correct aspect ratio. We're at a 5.6, looking good. So the camera's just switching over. You will see us in a second. And Hajun, thank you. Shout out to our guy Hajun here. He brought out a 24 millimeter Mercury that we can look at next. So
Here we go. Got our 27 up.
beautiful 27 mil, nice and wide.
Oh yeah.
This is a 1.5 squeeze lens. You can see how well it's drawing both B and I here, and we're in
Back to back with the
16.
Crystal Express. It seems very sharp.
right, and it's crazy. The close focus is also absolutely stunning on this lens. So B is about 18 inches from the image plane right now, and just looking super cool. And I'm going to hit you with a little bit of a flare from offsides here, just to give a little bit of a. It's just my phone, so it's not going to be that great, but I might have a better. Hajun's coming in with a goated flare light here, so we'll see him in a second.
There it is.
There we go. Come, give me an off-axis flare from over here, bud. Yep.
There it is. That's the good stuff.
That's the stuff I love right there. Bang. And you can still see we have a little bit of a gentle barrel distortion. So, you know, we're capturing some of those classic attributes that you may love of vintage anamorphic lenses, including that geometric barrel distortion. Some people are just trying to design the flattest lens, and you know that can be useful and cool for certain reasons. But we love barrel distortion, so that's why our lenses have barrel distortion built in. And let's see, what else could we show you? We got a pretty good representation of the 27 Mercury. While we're in this mode, I'll quickly throw on 24 Mercury.
Oh yeah.
So you can
Get
see
real
how much
extreme.
wider that is without changing too many other settings. And we got Hajun back there. Hit a T-pose for us.
There it is.
There we go. That's what we were looking for. And I'll rack focus to him.
Get the full effect. Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
There's
Great.
our guy.
Incredible.
All right, shout out. So yeah, looking cool. And we'll throw up the 24 real quick. And then we could look at a tighter Mercury and see that you still have some barrel distortion, but not something that's untoward or unappealing. And chat, if you want us to show up something that you haven't seen, and shout out Envision Media, thinking about getting that beautiful 21 millimeter Orion. Great choice. You know, you really can't go wrong. And here we are on the 24. So you could see, you know, we really have a very, very wide field of view. One of the great things about these lenses is that they're really great on a wide variety of formats. So whether you're using something like 16 millimeter film, shout out Sean Ellis Photo in France, I see you. Be on the lookout. There's going to be some really cool stuff dropping that was shot on a new Kodak 16 millimeter film stock with these very lenses.
I didn't know
from
they were
Sean.
doing a new stock. That's exciting. Yeah, now that we have these ultra wides, or I suppose we have one of these right now, but once the prototypes are more final, we can get those out. But something this wide is pretty necessary for shooting 16, in my opinion. So I'm glad we finally have enough of a range that we can really get the full effect there.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Marching
got a lurker.
slowly through the back.
We
Yeah.
got a lurker here. How many of you have seen Minecraft? I've seen it twice.
Ooh, yeah. That's I suppose that's the hard part of having kids, is watching Minecraft twice.
It was pretty easy for me. There's
Yeah.
a lot of humor in there, and I'm a big Jared Hess fan. So shout out Napoleon Dynamite. I think Napoleon
That was
Dynamite.
the same guy, yeah.
Yeah, Napoleon Dynamite was definitely funnier the very first time I saw it because I didn't know what to expect. And I think Minecraft was the same way for me. Even though I saw it twice, I enjoyed it actually more the second time. So it's funny because born too late for Napoleon Dynamite. No, born too early for Minecraft. Born too late for Napoleon Dynamite. I guess that's where I find
Yeah.
myself
Okay.
in this life.
Okay. That makes sense.
I got
think
to see them both, so got the span.
that's the magic. Yeah, you get to watch all these wonderful movies
What
from
are you
every
watching,
era.
chat? What movies are you watching
Yeah.
these days?
Shout out Nacho Libre.
Shout out Nacho Libre, great call.
That's a great movie.
Another Jack Black and Jared Hess.
All about that corn.
spectacular.
All right, what else do we have here as far as showing off barrel distortion? I suppose we
think
could
it
go
would
to
be-
like a longer lens here, kind of even it out.
Yeah, why don't we show, what do you think about a 72?
That's a great option there.
Because this will not show a whole lot of barrel distortion, but it will peek in if you know, this is
Really
a pretty
push it,
rectilinear
yeah.
lens, honestly. So.
Definitely. Hajin, can you operate here? Ooh,
Oh gosh.
that could have been bad.
Don't want to spill a. Look at us.
There we go.
Close up on
So
the
yeah,
72.
now we see, yeah. Let's take a look at the arms here, see how those have kind of straightened out. We get a little bit of that barrel distortion still, but when we compare it to the 24 or, back when we were looking at the Orions earlier, the 21, really not nearly as extreme. It's a lot straighter.
Throw that piece of architecture, pan over left a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, just put this on the frame edge there. So you can see a little bit of curvature in that architecture that's not actually there in the building.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really revealing the geometry that is in that barrel distortion in this lens. And also on the verticals on this C-stand arm. It's very, very
pretty
slight,
subtle,
but at
yeah.
least, there are certain lenses that if you have it in the same condition, will actually be pin cushioning in like this. And
Mhm.
I find that disturbing.
Yeah,
Not my favorite.
with the pin cushion, especially when you're putting in like panning or really any kind of camera moves, the pin cushion really gets kind of grating to me.
And it's interesting because some zooms, we're talking about spherical zooms here,
Mhm.
they will actually go from a pin cushion to, some go from pin cushion on the wide end to barrel distortion on the telephoto end, and then others will start with more of a barrel distortion on the wide end of the zoom, and then when you punch in, you end up with pin cushion, and that has to do with the way that the overall focus is being compensated. So as the focal length of the lens is changing, the groups are moving, and that's changing the overall geometry of the rays that are forced through the lens pupil. So that's why you're seeing these distortion characteristics. And so, while they're able to hold parfocality, keep things in focus, make it look normal in most regards, there are minor tells that something is being bent. And in this case, it's the ray bundle of light that's coming through the lens.
That's the thing about lens design is there's always going to be trade-offs about, this thing has to be included, so this thing's going to fall off to the wayside. One lens I own that shows that kind of pincushion to barrel zoom, I have the Voigtlander Zoom R, which was the first ever zoom lens made for a stills camera back in the late 50s. And that one, like you were saying, it's parfocal, it's a 2.8 all the way through. And the downside of that is on the wide end at the 36, you have a ton of barrel distortion. And at the tight end at 82, you have a ton of pincushion distortion. So with something like that, I don't know, I've been trying to think like how you could use that for maybe a dolly zoom to get an extra kind of weird distortion effect mixed in on top of that vertigo effect. But I think there's a lot that you can do with that. But all right.
Thanks for the comments on the bokeh of the 54 and the barrel distortion of the 24 and the 27. And shout out, it's either Francesco Moda or Francis Komoda. But also shouting out Jared Hess and Nacho Libre, fantastic films. And thank you for the comment, Marissa. Glad you're enjoying our little tour and our demo. We're probably going to sign off here in a minute unless there's any other questions. I will throw up one last 2x anamorphic lens, which was also used on 5-time Oscar-winning film Anora. Shout out Bootleg T-shirts, shout out Anora, shout out Sean Baker.
Also used on our 0-time award-winning FOA of Anora. If you watch our interview,
Hey, it
with
got my
Sim-
award.
I'll take it. Yeah,
It got a Danny.
Does that come with like the laurels? We can put that on the poster.
Sideburns.
Oh yeah, there we go.
That's the symbol of the Danny. All right,
Um,
so
yeah,
let's throw up that 50
definitely.
millimeter round front Lomo. So they actually use the 50 millimeter Orion more than the 50 millimeter Lomo round front, but Lomo round fronts were used on the film, as well as some very special Lomo zoom lenses. So yeah, it's pretty great film. If you haven't seen Anora, definitely one of those recommended, absolutely goated films. Haji and B are gonna go ahead and guide that in while I change the settings here, and we're gonna try to land it in one take. So still loading. The FPGA on the Alexa is adjusting itself, and
There we go.
let us reveal the magic, the prestige. Is it working?
Almost.
It's
There
working.
it is. Okay.
Yay.
Took a little minute there.
And you can see on these beautiful classic Lomo round fronts with their beautiful color characteristic that you also have a very nice barrel distortion. So Atlas Scope 90 baby, says Axel official. What's the best way to use Atlas when shooting vertical? That would be Atlas Scope. So we recommend turning your camera body 90 degrees, installing the anamorphic lens in standard orientation, and then the formula that you're going to want to use to set your anamorphic ratio on your monitor and in post-production is a fraction, which my daughter is learning now in second grade.
That's always tough.
Fractions. 1 over your anamorphic ratio. So if you have a 2 times Orion lens, that's going to be 1 over 2, giving you an 0.5 squeeze on your monitor and in post-production. If you have a Mercury, this is a little bit more complicated. Fractional math, division, we're going to have 1 over 1.5, which is going to give you a decimal value of 0.666666667, or 0.66, 0.67, depending on your preference of what you want to look a
Some
little.
monitors don't get quite so close, but you can get it close enough that you can let your editor deal with it later.
Facts.
This is one of my favorite lenses. I always forget about this one, but
The color is
color's
very rich
so
and
nice.
dense. So, the through color characteristic of these lenses is very nicely corrected, and that's due to the density of the glass types that they're using. So it's controlling the balance of the light rays, and you're actually like kind of blocking some of the uglier visible rays in the spectrum, which may not be, it may be imaging wise correct, but then you're going to get some funky flares from these too. So it's all a balance, but I do think the color on these is really spectacular. So that axial color correction is spectacular. So
I think to me this is also a great example of why you don't always need to shoot everything wide open. We're at a 5.6 here, and this looks incredible. I think
Yeah.
this is about where I would want this lens to live.
Well, the OGs, there's always something to learn from the elders. The OGs would always say, hey, I don't ever shoot an anamorphic lens faster than a 5.6, and we young folk would be like, give me wide open. I need a 1.4 JDC Crystal Express. So, it's all about telling a story at the end of the day. So it really depends on what you want to show, what you want to know, what you want to grow the mindset, try different things, get out there, experiment with your cinematography. Come visit us here at Atlas on any Wednesday, any given Wednesday. We're jamming. Tomorrow, go see the film New Wave in North Hollywood. If you can make it, you are going to love it. Come see us tomorrow at Wednesday Lens Day. And we do have another question that I'm going to answer before we sign off, because we got to get into a little chit-chat with Hajun, who's absolutely crushing it here at Atlas Lens Co. Axel asks, is there a specific PL adapter you recommend to shoot with the FX3? I may be a little bit biased. I like the Mofage Poco because it has the ability to use an internal ND tray. So in that tray you could put a clear if you want to be shooting with the most light rays coming through. You could put a hard ND up to like a very high value, like a 2.4, or you could put a variable ND should you so choose, which is just two polarizers crossing each other and varying your amount of light coming in. So you have a lot of choices. I like that one because it's well made. It's not the most expensive. It's also not the cheapest, but it's a good balance of features. There is only one thing I have to say about it that I don't like. I don't like the color purple that much.
Mm,
And
yeah,
it has a purple anodizing. What is this?
it's a pretty strong look. Yeah.
Come on. I'm tired of these like goofy colors, like green. Come on, what is this? Like Monster Energy drink? Nah, dude, we need gold snake water. Come on.
Very
I
classy.
think we need a gold edition Mophage, snake water edition. We could laser engrave it.
I'm
think I'm
sure
gonna
we
make
could
that for
figure that
Cine
out.
Gear.
Yeah.
By the way, if you haven't heard about another camera that's going to need maybe an E to PL adapter, you are going to want to check out the Pixboom Spark. This is a high-speed camera that does anywhere from 1 frame per second all the way up to 1,000 frames per second in 4K, raw, backside illuminated sensor. When I said backside illuminated, everybody looked at me like, why's he got his bum out in the sun? That's not what it means. Look it up. Use Google, use Wikipedia. Backside illumination on the sensor, high dynamic range. It's great. Hope to see you at a Wednesday or at New Wave tomorrow night. And thanks for a great stream, B. Thank you,
Yeah,
team,
thanks,
for a
guys.
great stream, great questions. Drop some W's in the chat if you want to see us come back and jam it up again. Chat, is this Yap? Let us know. We'll see you soon. Au revoir.